God is the Lord and has revealed himself to us. Blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord.
Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today we are going to continue on with St. Basil the Great on Christian ethics. And today we're doing point 5, which has several subpoints. So let's go ahead and get cracking. 5.1, that it is necessary, being cleansed of all hatred towards everyone, to love even one's enemies, and to lay down one's life on behalf of one's friends whenever the need calls, having such love as God and his Christ had for us. 5.1, that it is necessary, being cleansed of all hatred towards everyone, to love even one's enemies, and to lay down one's life on behalf of one's friends whenever the need calls, having such love as God and his Christ had for us. Matthew, you have heard that it was said in times of old, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies. Matthew 5:43 through 44. And a little further it says, you therefore must be perfect even as your Heavenly Father is perfect. Matthew 5:48. John, for God so loved the world that he gave his only Son. John 3:16. John, this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. John 15:12 through 13. Luke, and you will be sons of the Most High, for he is kind to the ungrateful and the evil. Therefore be merciful, even as your Father is merciful. Luke 6:35 through 36. Romans, but God shows his love for us, that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Romans 5:8. Ephesians, therefore, be imitators of God as beloved children, and walk in love as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us, an offering and sacrifice to God. Ephesians 5:1 through 2. Ephesians 5, verses 1 through 2. Point 2, 5.2. That a mark of Christ's disciples is their love in him for each other. 5.2. That a mark of Christ's disciples is their love in him for each other. John, by this all men will know that you are my disciples, if you have love one for another. John 13:35. 5.3. That the proof of not having the love of Christ for one's neighbor is doing anything that harms or grieves his faith, even if the act itself is allowed by the letter of the Scriptures. 5.3. That the proof of not having the love of Christ for one's neighbor is doing anything that harms or grieves his faith, even if the act itself is allowed by the letter of the Scriptures. Romans, if your brother is being injured by what you eat, you are no longer walking in love. Do not let what you eat cause the ruin of one for whom Christ died. Romans 14:15. Point 4, Ethics 5.4. That it is necessary for the Christian to care by all means, even for the one who hates him. 5.4. That it is necessary for the Christian to care by all means, even for the one who hates him. Matthew. So if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Matthew 5:23-24. 1 Corinthians. When reviled, we bless. When persecuted, we endure. When slandered, we try to conciliate. 1 Corinthians 4:12-13. And finally, the last point in this section, 5.5 of St. Basil's on Christian ethics. 5.5. That the one who loves as Christ does will even grieve for their benefit those whom he loves. 5.5. That the one who loves as Christ does will even grieve for their benefit those whom he loves. John. But now I am going to him who sent me. Yet none of you ask me, where are you going? But because I have said these things to you, sorrow has filled your hearts. Nevertheless, I tell you the truth. It is to your advantage that I go away. For if I do not go away, the Counselor will not come to you. John 16:5-7. 2 Corinthians. So that I rejoice still more, for even if I made you sorry with my letter, I do not regret it, though I did regret it. For I see that letter grieved you, though only for a little while. As it is, I rejoice, not because you were grieved, but because you were grieved into repenting. For you felt a godly grief, so that you suffered no loss through us. 2 Corinthians 7:7-9.
O Lord, save thy people and bless thine inheritance, granting to the faithful victory over all adversaries, and by the power of thy cross preserve thine estate.